one that was on the national news now with all of the OnStars and all of the GPSs in your cars, your insurance companies can get a report from the subscribe, on how fast you were driving and how many times you were speeding.
Wow.
I've
I've got
paid for this
11:30.
service, and they're going to rat me out for driving too fast.
I didn't hear that.
Where's the privacy in that?
Greg, are you telling me my TikTok account might get shut down?
I got 11:30.
I don't have a TikTok account, by the way.
I would ask that everybody stand and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you and welcome. I'd like to call to order the regular board meeting for the Oceana County Board of Commissioners for March 14th, 2024. And I would ask the clerk to do a roll call, please.
Mr. Erickson?
Here.
Mr. Morse?
Here.
Mr. Beggs?
Here.
Mr. Hardy?
Here.
Mr. Walker?
Here. Thank you. I'd like the approval of the request motion to approve the minutes for the February 22nd meeting, please.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Thank you, Mr. Beggs. Do we have a support?
I'll support Hardy.
Mr. Hardy has support. Are there any questions or concerns or comments on the meeting minutes as presented? All in favor of approval as presented? Say aye. Passed. Conflict of interest disclosure regarding agenda items. Do any board members want to declare a conflict of interest on agenda items? Hearing none, changes to the agenda. We'll be removing the one on the budget, to Drain Commissioner, 2024-35 and 2024-37, the medical care. We'll take no action on it this time. Are there any other changes? Tracy, do we have them all covered? Noting the changes to the agenda, can I have a motion to approve the agenda with those changes?
So move. I'll support that.
Thank you, Mr. Erickson and Mr. Morris. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Public comments. Any public comments at this time? There'll be an opportunity at the end of the meeting also. Hearing none. Mr. Hardy, Mason Oceana 911 surcharge.
Motion 2024-30 to approve the recommendation of the Mason Oceana 911 Board to continue the assessment of the local telephone surcharge in the amount of $2.09 with no change.
Thank you, Mr. Hardy. Do we have a support?
I'll support.
Thank you, Mr. Beggs. Discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Hardy?
Yes.
Mr. Beggs?
Yes.
Mr. Erickson?
Yes.
Mr. Morse?
Yes.
Mr. Walker?
Yes. Mr. Beggs, Veterans Affairs Commission appointment.
I'd like to make a motion 2024-31 to appoint Samuel J. Stitt IV to the Veterans Affairs Committee for an unexpired term to expire on December 31, 2026.
Do we have a support?
Support.
Moved by Mr. Beggs, support by Mr. Hardy. Mr. Erickson. Any discussion?
Good choice.
Pardon me?
Good choice.
Good choice. I do not believe we need to do a roll call on this. I think we just do it by consent. All in favor of the appointment of Mr. Stitz to the Veterans Affairs, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passed. Mr. Morris, West Michigan Community Mental Health Appointment.
Thanks, Chairman Walker. I make a motion 2024-32 to appoint Kay Singh to the West Michigan Community Mental Health Board to expire on March 31, 2027.
Do we have a support?
I'll support Hardy.
Moved by Mr. Morris, support by Mr. Hardy. Under discussion, as I said in the committee meeting, that Ms. Singh is a very valuable member to that board. Brings a lot to the board. Any other comments? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It would be passed. Mr. Erickson, Land Bank Authority Purchasing and Procurement Policy.
Mr. Walker, I make motion 2024-33 to approve the purchasing and procurement policy as submitted by the Land Bank Authority.
Do we have a support?
I'll support.
Moved by Mr. Erickson, support by Mr. Beggs. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Erickson,
Yes.
Mr. Beggs,
Yes.
Mr. Morse,
Yes.
Mr. Hardy,
Yes.
Mr. Walker.
Yes, and I would like to thank the treasurer for all of the work that she did on developing that policy. So, Mr. Beggs, election budget adjustment.
I'd like to make motion 2024-34 to adopt budget amendment 02-2024 totaling $37,700 to adjust lines for payouts related to 9-day early voting.
Thank you, Mr. Beggs. Do we have a support?
I'll support. Hardy.
Thank you, Mr. Hardy. Discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Beggs,
Yes.
Mr. Hardy,
Yes.
Mr. Erickson,
Yes.
Mr. Morse,
Yes.
Mr. Walker.
Yes. The next item on the agenda, the Drain Commission budget adjustment. The administrator has told me that an individual has donated the money to pay for the cost of that. Correct, Tracy?
Yes.
So that can be removed. That was donated to the Drain Commission. And the medical care facility, we have the question of up to or a stated millage. And we can bring, the administrator's gonna get a question, a legal opinion on it, and we will bring that back at the next meeting. Mr. Hardy, payment of claims.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Walker. Board approval of accounts payable and release of funds. Ambulance fund total, $1,996.09. FOC fund total, $11,175.06. Bentwater Heart Trail fund total, $1,282.72. Brownfield Redevelopment Authority, $3,447.50. Indigent Defense Fund, $32,039.10. Criminal Justice Training Fund, $200. ARPA Fund total, $10.51. Department of Veterans Affairs Fund total, $6,490.73. Technology and Innovation Fund, $4,138.50. Building Department Fund total, $24,432.77. With a general fund total of $542,273.12, with a grand total of $627,486.10.
Thank you, Mr. Hardy. Do we have a support?
Support.
With Mr. Erickson?
Yes, sir.
Moved by Mr. Hardy, support by Mr. Erickson. Any discussion? Paul, on Pentwater Trail, is there activity going on that? We haven't heard anything from anybody on that in a long time.
My understanding is it's losing traction right now. That's the last I've been told, so, yeah, it's kinda hard to put that together.
Is there somebody we could reach out to just to find out, at one of our.
I will.
Our
No,
meeting.
at our
what is
last Parks
going on-
Board.
What is going on with it?
Yep, at our last Parks Board, we did touch on that a little bit. John Wilson that sits here from Pentwater gave us a little update. I guess it's
Okay.
lost a little traction.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Erickson. Any other comments? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Hardy,
Yes.
Mr. Erickson,
Yes.
Mr. Morse,
Yes.
Mr. Beggs,
Yes.
Mr. Walker.
Yes. Reports from the commissioners. Mr. Beggs?
We had a good road commission meeting yesterday. A lot of things coming up for the coming year, a lot of road projects with the road bond, some bridge work that'll be done on some secondary roads. And really the big news of the morning was Sandy Griffin has retired after 39 years at the Oceana County Road Commission. So, She didn't want any fanfare, she didn't want a plaque, she just kind of went out on her own terms and decided it was time to retire and travel and spend time with friends. So just wish her well. She started, I hadn't realized she'd been there for 39 years. She started in 1969 and had a couple of short stints in and out, back and forth between the county building. But so we lost a lot of institutional knowledge with Sandy. So, but she felt comfortable with the office staff could do her job as well. So wish her well.
Mr. Biggs, do you think it would be appropriate for this board to draft a letter and thank her for her service to the county?
That would probably be appropriate. I don't think we'd get her to come here and
No,
accept it.
but just send her a letter.
Yeah, yep.
So, thank you. Anything else for us?
That's it.
Mr. Hardy?
Nothing to report this time.
Mr. Morris?
Yeah, I got a list here, but it should go fast. I would like to thank the individual that covered the $1,000 drain commission template. Appreciate that very much. His gift. Brady Sellner is now finished at the Village of Shelby. His last day as the village administrator there was yesterday. Now they have an interim village administrator that is going to be a part of, his name is, I forget, but he's going to be there. The plan is to be there 3 to 4 months as running operations day to day, while at the same time hiring their next administrator and, doing the headhunting and all that. So that's kind of what this company does is they do both. So run the day-to-day operations in the meantime, while they're actually looking for the next professional in that arena. Shelby Township Park is looking great. If you haven't driven by there recently, I encourage you to do so. You can, and in 72nd. Yeah, it's just looking great. Excited to have that.
Did hear it's already been vandalized. Somebody's been in there smashing backboards.
Yeah.
It's frustrating.
Yeah, it is. Well, school buses too last weekend, and OCEA stuff. I am now. I maybe I've announced this before, so forgive me if I did. But I am the chair now of OCEA. So I'm really excited about that opportunity to help be a part of the leadership. April 4th from 12 to 2, we're going to have this action plan meeting. This whole workforce diversification, economic workforce that study that we've been going through for 2 years now, finally coming to a close, and this is the last piece of it. So again, April 4th from 12 to 2 at the county building, the Griswold classroom there. Hope that as many of you can come as possible to be, have your feedback be heard. We have added to our board, Tracy, as she said, also added Mark Timmer from the road commission, and we're looking to add 1 or 2 more as well. I think they're gonna be great resources for us. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Mr. Erickson?
Yeah, Mr. Walker, I was glad that we had Corey here to talk about the medical care a little bit in that millage request. It's been a long few years at the medical care and watching those numbers. So I was glad that Corey was here, and hopefully in a couple of weeks we can get that ballot language squared up so we can make that work. In Levitt, I went to the Levitt Town Board meeting, which is always fun because I think it's our only town hall that has no running water, and it's usually a little bit cold in there because the heat's not on, and it's a very small meeting, poor township, and the brining of the roads was the biggest thing that I've heard out there, the cost of road brine, and whether it's 2 applications or 1, but the problem that I'm hearing, we haven't made gravel in this county in a while, and we bought a lot of gravel in, and most of the roads out that way are dirt and not gravelled with clay. So the money spent on brine doesn't extend very long. So that's been a real big topic out east as far as dust control on those roads. It's been quite a bit of it. No, other than that, it's been kind of a quiet month.
Years ago, Mr. Erickson, I heard George Towns, who was in the road construction business. Some of you may remember George Towns. Georgetown referred to gravel as Michigan gold. And I think we're seeing it now. It's Michigan gold.
Well, we have one big pit out at Ruby Creek, and I understand they might start to mine some gravel and build us some gravel out of Ruby. But otherwise, it is very expensive.
A couple things. The health department building, we had our walk to it, and Tracy and Paul and I have received some correspondence back and forth from Kevin Hughes. We discussed the possibility and the concept of moving our building inspections department out to that building. We'd free up room at Griswold Street, and we would have all but the drain commissioners for permits all in the same location. Is that something that the board members want us to pursue? If we are going to pursue doing that, I would suggest that Paul chairs Buildings and Grounds, the subcommittee, with Phil, but he has Buildings and Grounds. And I would suggest that Paul, because he has a relationship with Kevin Hughes, being on the board, District 10 Health Board, and Tracy and Brian from maintenance, meet with Kevin Hughes and go through that building and see the feasibility of moving the building department there. What's the thoughts of the board members? Do we want to go forward with that? Yes, Tim.
I think we do, with the thought that the VA has been expressing some need for more space too, so if they could, we could look at backfilling some of the vacant offices in the Griswold building for the VA, whatever that looks like, but assess their needs and see what's available there. I think it's time to jockey some things around.
Well, that would give the VA 2 or maybe 3 more offices, alone. Plus it would give the reception area, they do have one. I think there would be that if we do this and move forward with the thoughts that the VA would have the primary choice for expansion into the vacated area, I think it would, help on several areas.
Yeah.
So, am I hearing from my fellow commissioners that we should move ahead and set that
I
up and
think
look
we
at
should.
it?
I'd like to know too, if they move some of the current offices, where they're going and what becomes available in what section.
Well, Kevin told us in the thing that the staff up there the employees up there have had a discussion on what would work best to move things around. Now, the WIC program, and where the WIC is, we cannot touch that at all.
Mm-hmm.
That's totally private and it's totally set up. It's like an area all its own, and I understand the reasoning behind that. We're out of there, but we walk to. Hearing no, Phil.
Well, I was just gonna say, I fully support it until it doesn't make sense. If it doesn't, ever doesn't make sense, let's keep going.
So Tracy, Paul.
Well, and Robert's right, and we had a little talk about that, and where we were at on the northwest corner, where their employee parking out there, that would make a good buildings inspection office entrance, separate from everything else, and maybe there's more of a centralized place for billing, but there was so much room in that big room. There was a ton of room, and there were so many rooms filled with storage too that we could free up a lot of floor space with just freeing up those rooms that were full of boxes.
And the building, when Tracy contacted Randy Miller, who was in charge of that department, they didn't ask for a lot. They need an office for himself, an office for their secretary, and one office for the 3 plumbing, electrical, and mechanical inspectors, and then they need a reception area. They're not asking for a lot. you know, there.
No, I think it's worthwhile to, like I said, find out what we have and what works and.
Remove the dots.
Well, let's, Tracy, if you and Paul, and I think it's important to have Brian involved.
Absolutely.
You know,
And Robert and I, we talked the other day about that massive well, and it almost could be another hydrant to refill fire trucks also.
we talked about that.
We,
You know, what the cost would be, you know. First I thought, should we use the little bit of ARPA money we have left to go with a smaller well and not have, you know, that 3-phase pump and all of that? But then Paul brought up, he said, well, he thought that maybe the fire department used that well. Well, it's not expensive to put a hydrant right next to a well like that so they can fill them at a place like that. And I don't know if Hart, is your son still on Hart Fire Department? If that's something that would be worthwhile for us to look into. You know, it would certainly be better for us owning all of those buildings up there if there was a fire hydrant right there.
Absolutely, yeah,
it's a big well. It's,
yeah,
You know,
hate to abandon it when it might have a
right.
value.
when you have a 10-inch well, that's gonna pump a lot of water.
Might be,
And that might affect premiums,
might be a 5-minute turnaround on a fill up of a tanker.
sure.
And it's providing
I think we
something,
can check with the chief and,
Dwight could,
and we're providing something for all of the people in the area.
yeah,
If we can make that. It wasn't, when SNN Fabricating ran the fire hydrant out the Michigan Avenue in the village of Rothbury, they paid for that whole thing themselves. It wasn't an enormous amount of money.
No.
You know, so, but whatever, let's,
Yeah,
you know, just check. Lakeshore Regional Entity is the entity that oversees the substance abuse portion of mental health. And we had a little glitch when the committee assignments were done the first of the year, and actually I was to Lakeshore Regional Entity, and they didn't get the information, so there was some things going on there. There are 2 Lakeshore Regional Entities. There is one that meets in Muskegon that is the nuts and bolts operation, similar to what the West Michigan Community Health or the Health Department Board are. They oversee that part. And then there is a group that is the oversight committee that meets in Holland. And I received an invitation to that meeting last Wednesday that I went down to it. And there are members from Kent County, Allegan County, Ottawa County, Lake County, Mason County, Muskegon County, and Oceana County on it. And they primarily work on substance abuse programs and substance abuse training and no enforcement, but, you know, treatment and educational programs. It is absolutely amazing to me, and I probably had eyes this big when I found out how many $1 million a year go to that oversight committee. And I thought to myself, and I'm not saying that there's absolutely a huge need for it. I wonder how many people that we have in the state and the federal legislature realize when you combine all of these boards that somebody like myself is on, between the West Michigan Mental Health Board, between the 10 County Health Department Board, and between the entity board there. Some of it's all pass-through, you know, pass-through money. We are talking, if you combine them all, $800 or $900 million. They go through these boards. I have a hard time counting to 25 sometimes when I have other thoughts in my mind, and I look at the amount of money they go through. And I say that because it would be nice if our elected people sat in on one of those meetings, you know, once in their tenure in Lansing to see what they're actually like during the public sessions of those meetings and see where the money goes. Lastly, I want to remind everybody that on Monday, the 18th, the Soil Conservation District is having their dinner up at the Reese Peterson Research Center. And it's been a couple of years since I've been able to attend. I have to be in Cadillac for Personnel Committee meeting for District 10 Health Department at 1 o'clock, and I hope that I'm going to be back in time for the one on the 18th. Yeah.
One other quick thing, another building, we're gonna go to visit different buildings in the county, maybe next time, plan on.
Yeah, and Tracy had asked when we were leaving the buildings up in the complex up there about doing it after this meeting, and I said, let's wait until our next meeting. And, you know, when we go out to the animal control building in the airport, if we do by chance this time of year have a real rainy day, we may delay that meeting, you know, we'll set it, but if it's raining real hard, we may, because of, you know, back and forth.
So which buildings would you like for the next
I
time?
think we can go to both of them at the same time. What do the other board members
Yeah,
think?
that sounds good.
So we want animal control and airport?
And airport, yeah.
We're holding
Both-
off on Griswold.
They're both new facilities, and they're both very nice facilities that Tacony has. And those of us that haven't met the staff members or don't know the people that are working there, it's a good opportunity for us to meet them.
And get a puppy or a cat.
Everybody leaves with everybody leaves
It's
with
an
a puppy or
animal.
cat. I'm not gonna be able to go to that meeting. So, Amy, do you have anything for us?
Nope, not at this time.
Not this time. Tracy? Public comments. Public comments? I thank our guests for being here, and seeing no public comments, we can adjourn. Remember on April, so check your schedules for the meetings on April, because the first meeting changes.
It's on a Tuesday. Paul, Kevin was wanting to meet on the 27th.
I saw that, yeah. I'm good, whatever.
Okay, 27th